5 things you got to stop doing when setting your goals. Number 1, stop aiming for positions. And the reason for this is incredibly simple. So, you want to be an authority, you want to be a thought leader, you want to be a CEO, whatever title it is that you believe you need to feel like you've achieved or you're successful, or whatever story you've told yourself about this title that you want and that you aspire to, and that guy has got the job I want, and all those things, or the position, or he's got the market share, or whatever it is that you tell yourself that you want. Anything that gets given to you can be taken away. Aiming for something that is as temporary or as subjective as a title just doesn't seem like a way in which to make you feel happy. And you got to ask yourself, what is it that drives you? Is it that you're trying to be happy and you're trying to do things that make you happy and that brings value and happiness to other people as well? Or is this about who has the fastest car and who has the biggest house and therefore who's got the flashiest title? If that's your goal, then these videos probably aren't for you, because I don't really engage with people that operate in that kind of way, where they think that their happiness will be derived from status or material possessions. It doesn't make sense to me. But if you want to help people, help people. And when you're aiming for a title to give yourself credibility or validation around what it is that you need to be doing, or the paycheck that you can be making, or whatever it is, that can be taken away from you. And if it's in the corporate environment and you're an employee, you can be fired, you can be replaced. There will be someone who one day will be better than you. Holding on to these things to give yourself a sense of purpose is not a way in which you will remain happy. And that's what I want for you. So instead of clinging to these ideas that we have about what will make us feel successful and important, and all these things that basically, it speaks to significance. It's like you want to feel important, you want to feel significant, you want to feel like what you're doing matters and what you say matters. And if you're okay accepting that that's temporary, then go for it. But to have 5 years of limelight or 10 years of limelight, it just doesn't feel like that's a good trade-off in terms of setting a goal that will make you feel fulfilled or feel happy or satisfied with what it is that you're doing. So that's a trade-off that you have to make. You have to balance that out for yourself. It's like, what do I want? If I want to be happy, then going for a temporary goal is probably not the way in which it will make me happy. But on the other side, it might be for those 10 years that will be the best 10 years of your life, and you're okay with that. And I feel like so many people are okay with that. They go for this goal, this title, and this status, that for 5-10 years they feel absolutely incredible. But then what? And my work and the things that I worry about and the things that I think about is but then what? That's where the real life happens. It's when the glory days are over. What then? And the trick is to have glory days all the time. And the only way in which I know how to do that is by bringing value to other people. And if you're helping someone, if you're solving a problem, they don't care about your title. They care about whether or not you can help them. And if that's your focus, and if that's your way of satisfying your need to feel happy, then the title becomes absolutely irrelevant. The same thing, this was very closely tied to the first idea of like wanting a position. So many people have a goal of one day I will work at this place, or one day I will work in this city, and what you're doing is that you are postponing your happiness in the moment by disqualifying yourself in a way. You're going, I'm not good enough because I'm not there yet, and one day I'll be good enough and I will be there, or they'll see that I'm good enough and then I'll be there. And that place in your mind, wherever it is, whatever that place is, that prestigious institute that you wish you could validate you in some kind of way, give you a pat on the back, if you postpone your happiness right now and your power right now because you're not in the environment that you feel you could be best working in, be most potent inside of, then you got to ask yourself, does your environment make you feel potent, or do you feel potent because of who you are and what it is that you're doing? You got to ask yourself that question: where does my power come from? Does my power come from my surroundings and the people that are around me? Of course, working in a place that's not conducive to whatever it is that aligns your power isn't going to get you to where you want to be. But you can change that, or you can change your way in which you interpret that environment, and then you can be within your potency. So this idea of waiting up until is just not a solution in terms of feeling satisfied today, feeling potent today, feeling authentically empowered and satisfied in what it is that I'm doing today. It makes it the same as the first thing that you got to stop doing, which is, well, I don't have that position yet, so I can't. Same thing. I'm not in that place yet, I can't. What happens if you just did it anyway? What happens if you didn't wait for the pat on the back or the invitation and you just did it? What would happen then? Would you still be would you still feel unsatisfied? Or would you feel like it wouldn't even matter? It's like, oh, why would I do the CEO's job? Or why would I do... This is the thing that doesn't make sense to me, is that people know what would make them feel powerful, they know it will make them feel happy, but they don't do it because it's not in their job description. So for instance, I know that there's a project at work that needs looking into, but I'm not the CEO, so why would I do that? That my role doesn't require that. Perhaps if you stepped into your power, into your potency of actually addressing that particular need that only you can see, that no one else is tending to, you are more likely to be chosen if that is what you're looking for. Me, I'm saying you get to choose yourself. And if you can see that there's a problem that needs solving, do it, because that's the right thing to do, rather than, oh, well, I'm not being paid extra for this, or, oh, I don't have the title for this. Is that way of thinking making you happy? Or is it keeping you stuck? Is it giving you reasons to believe that you're not good enough? And that you're waiting for someone else to tell you, you get to do it. I believe in you. You're the right guy for the job. Are you waiting for that? Because that might never come. Stop waiting for the right company to call you, to come up to the big leagues. Just do the work. So I think this article for me is about, it's breaking down the rat race that keeps us feeling miserable, but still makes us feel like we're driven and motivated. It's a very strange idea that the 20th century gave us around how we actually feel productive. And the 20th century made productivity feel very selfish and isolating. So the third thing that you might want to stop doing when setting your goals is making it about money. If I work really hard this year, I can take the family on vacation, I can buy a yacht, or I can buy the shoes I wanted, or why is it that you go, I'm unhappy right now, but if I do the work, then good things will happen? Why can't it be the other way around, which is, if I do good things, then I'll be happy and then good things will happen? I don't understand the logic of going, I need to reward myself for work that I'm not enjoying. I've got to reward myself for not enjoying where I am right now in my life, but I'll do it anyway because then I get to get the thing that I wanted. It's almost like you are parenting yourself and trying to convince the kid to eat dinner or the vegetables, and you're going, well, if you have the vegetables now, you can have the ice cream later, and you go, okay, I convinced myself. It's like a bad trade-off around what it is that you do for a third of your life, because that is how long you are working for. So if that's the case, is money really the ultimate motivation in terms of how you set up your goals? Is that really the best you can do? I highly doubt it. There are so many people who I meet who have so much potential, and one of the reasons why they can't see their potential and they aren't developing their potential is because of money. A fantastic example is, I don't want to work for free because that is taking advantage of me. So many people can have an opportunity to get real experience, become connected in a network and get some experience and get a portfolio together, and all at the expense of someone who's much further down the line who believes in them. But they won't do it. They won't step into that working experience because there's no money. So in a way, this idea that we have around our own validity or our own happiness, that's connected to there needs to be money or else. Obviously a basic amount of money is needed to be able to get by in life. But I'm talking about outside of that. When you're good, you've got everything you need, you've got time on your hands, and you've got opportunities to impact and to give value to people. If you've got that, which most people do, if they look hard enough, you don't know what will happen if you don't go into that direction. But so few people do, unless there is a price tag for their time. Unless there is a reward at the end saying, okay, cool, you worked for a month, okay, here's some money. And it works on so many different levels of people who actually could create real value and solve real problems and give hands and ability and capacity and effort to make things better, but they don't because there isn't enough money, or there isn't additional money, and there isn't what are the benefits and all these kinds of things. And I understand that that's how corporate works. I understand that that's how being employed works. But everyone has an opportunity to make a difference with what it is that they do every single day. And if our aim is, I won't do it unless, then we're only blocking our own potential. We're only stepping in our own way in terms of what we are able to do and what we're able to bring to our environment, because that is what makes us happy. So again, what are we saying to ourselves? Are we saying, I can only be happy when that thing is in our life, or when we have enough of this, only then can I be happy? Because if you believe that narrative, it means that you aren't happy right now. And I don't want that for you. And I know you don't want that for you. So you have to ask yourself about the way in which you're setting up your goals. Are you doing it in a way that is conducive to your happiness right now? Or are you simply postponing it and putting a price tag to it? So the next thing to think about is that I would love it if you guys would stop creating very specific goals that seem like a mountain and a life's work. What happens if your goal one day is to start a digital company or to direct a film? What happens when that's done? Are you going to just do another one? Or is that a stepping stone to something else? Your goals very often become just tasks and stepping stones. But if you structure what makes you happy in a way where your goals become a lifelong endeavor, you don't ever feel like, okay, now what? Because that's when things become really stressful. It's like, I've gotten the thing that I want, I'm so happy. And then 2 weeks later, it's like, all right, but where do I put my energy now? I'm used to a routine of working towards this one particular thing. Now I've got it. What am I going to do with my time? What's next? And people feel lost. People feel directionless and sometimes become quite depressed because of this lack of direction once they've achieved the thing that they thought that they wouldn't. So sometimes you've got to give yourself a lot of credit to begin with. You've got to believe that the thing that you want for yourself is just the beginning of the thing that you actually deserve, of what you're actually capable of. So sometimes having a moonshot, having something ridiculous to believe in, is the way to go, because you're never going to, you know that you're not going to reach that. You know that you're not going to get there. And in that way, it becomes a relief, because now you just get to focus on the stepping stones that would have been called goals, but now it just becomes stepping stones. And you get to bring people along with you. And they can also see, oh, actually, we won't get to this ridiculous goal that we've all set for ourselves, but we're all enjoying the opportunity to try. And while we're trying, these stepping stones will keep us busy, and it'll create a sense of momentum. So focusing on one specific task, one specific goal. So I want to do this, I want to do that in that way, and it very often becomes limiting and it becomes confusing once you reach it and you realize, what now? I mean, I love talking about goal setting in this particular way because there's so much unlearning to do. Because the last point that I'd like to make is you shouldn't have a series of goals. And people go, obviously you're going to have a series of goals because you're going to do one thing and then you're going to do another thing and then you're going to do another thing and then you're going to do another thing and then you're going to be successful at the end. But we know that that isn't how life works. Because we're told that we must go to school, we go to university if we're lucky, then what happens is we get a job, we might get married, and then we retire, and then we die. How often does life like that make us happy and result in a satisfied feeling at the end? Very, very, very few. So many 70 and 80-year-olds are filled with regret because they followed the series of goals. What I'm trying to get across when it comes to goal setting is that if you can remain present, satisfied, focused, and value-orientated, you also get to be agile. And what I mean by that is, what happens if you tell yourself, all right, we're going to do step 1, step 2, step 3. But then step 1 goes perfectly and step 1 totally fails. And now you're lost because you had to go to the left of step 2 to be able to get to step 3 is now impossible. So you were cool at step 1, then things got confusing at step 2, and now there's no way to get to step 3, and now the plan doesn't work anymore. So having the expectation that things will go the way in which you planned actually gets in the way of your productivity. Instead of going, right now we're focusing on getting this done, and once that's done, we will define what the next step is according to what happened with step 1. In that way, you remain open and agile, and it also keeps the entire team focused on agility and creativity and problem solving, and it doesn't require the way in which you solved step 1 to line up into step 2. In other words, it might be that step 1, when you are solving it, takes you into a brand new direction, and that's only possible if you don't have a place where it needs to land. So for instance, how do I explain this to you? If I want to go from Cape Town, which is where I'm at right now, and I tell myself, okay, I'm going to go from Cape Town to Joburg, because it's one line, it's the N1, right, which is the big highway that connects the two cities. If I tell myself I need to get to Joburg, what happens if somewhere along the way something incredible happens? But, oh, I can't do it, I need to get to Joburg. What happens if something else happens? Oh, I can't deal with this now, I need to get to Joburg. When you don't have a destination, or you only have one destination that doesn't have to land somewhere else then again, you get to remain open and available, and the problems that you potentially could solve along the way become milestones in themselves, and you get to be available to focus on them and to enjoy them, rather than, oh no, this is a distraction from where we think we should be going. Sometimes the road that we're on shows us where it needs to go. Instead of going, okay, we've now started this journey, and what we're finding is that where we thought at the beginning, before we even started the journey, we would get to step 2, actually what's happening is that we're going in this direction, and the only way to find out if that's worthwhile is to give up on trying to go somewhere else. Allow the road to naturally take you where it needs to go. Allow the story to reveal itself to you as you are telling it. That's agility. It is allowing the story that you are telling to develop, and for you to allow yourself to comfortably explore it as you go along. So there you got it. some ideas around unlearning the way in which we've been setting goals, which is normally 1, 2, 3, 4. It is normally, I need to get that position, I need to work at that place, and then I will feel satisfied. Once we take away these titles, once we take away this orderly fashion of moving things forward, sometimes what is replaced is a sense of enjoyment, of feeling present and focused and focusing on value. And as long as we're giving value and listening to the people around us, we can learn to give even better value. When you make it that simple, and it doesn't become about what I need and the authority that I need to be able to, and the postponing of happiness and the waiting and all these things. When we don't need the external to give us the sense of purpose and satisfaction that we crave, or the payoff and the reward later, when we don't have that, we can focus on what we're actually doing and the value that we can impart and that we can share, because that's what makes us happy. Helping other people makes us happy. I hope that this helped. I hope that somewhere you found that, oh, that's a little bit of me, that's how I can learn about that. Maybe I'm doing that a little bit too much. If so, just say hi. Tell me what's going on. Tell me what this kicked up for you. If you think I'm talking nonsense, tell me. I'm waiting for the haters. Oh, I'm waiting for the haters because it means that I'm doing something right. So, come at me, say hi. We'll start having a conversation. That's why I'm doing these videos. If you like this, subscribe, like this video, share it with someone who you think maybe isn't structuring their goals correctly, or you can see that they're going in a structured path that is not making them happy. Maybe this can be the thing that they can watch to unlearn that expectation and to stay focused and present and create value for the people around them. Thank you so much. Cheers.